Hi, my name is Regina Orzakowski, and I live in Anderson, South Carolina. I am majoring in human services counseling with a focus in Christian ministries. For my interpersonal communications project, I would like to talk to you about how my behavioral blend can be used in my interpersonal communications and in my walk with God. My goal for my life is to further my education while using it in my career and to serve God and live my life for Him daily. I've been through 2 divorces. The second divorce was after a 10-year marriage, and I became a very bitter and angry woman. And when I came to the point, a breaking point that I just couldn't live with myself anymore, I got Christian counseling, and I'm currently in the mentoring program. And in the past year, I felt the call in my life to become a Christian counselor. For my background, I grew up in Augusta, Georgia, and I have an alcoholic father who is also a Vietnam vet, so he suffers from PTSD, and a mother who enabled him. Fortunately, she took us to church, and I learned about God, and I got saved at a very young age. I knew that my life would be different from that point on, and I was the first person in my family to graduate from college, and am the first one who will graduate with a master's degree. Because of the environment I grew up in, I have self-esteem issues. I was consistently made fun of at school by other kids. My own siblings made fun of me, and my own father made fun of me. One point in my childhood telling me that no man would ever have me. I don't like to ask for people for help because I feel like I'm a burden and I don't want to inconvenience others. On a positive note, I am very friendly and can make friends easy. I can talk about anything for hours. My friends sometimes just want to say, "Shut up." But they love me anyway, and they don't tell me to shut up. And I'm willing to go the extra mile for someone because of being commanded by Christ to love our neighbor as ourselves. My behavioral blend is I'm a competent influencing specialist, which means I'm both outgoing but reserved. I'm very friendly, enthusiastic, and cordial, but I can also be very critical of others and look for fault in others, which is ironic because I myself will not accept criticism very well. So I think I do that. If I see the fault in others, I won't be disappointed in myself. And I'm not pushy or demanding until something interferes with my plans or beliefs, and I prefer peace and harmony. And others wish I would be more decisive over simple little decisions like which restaurant are we going to go to tonight. Some of my barriers in communication have been that I'm extremely sensitive and I tend to take things the wrong way or out of context. When I get upset, I immediately go into a defense mode and I start to cry, believing that I'm being attacked and that I have to defend myself. I do not like change, so any conversation that consists of changing things scare me. I need stability. The need for stability comes from growing up in a home where we didn't know where we were going to live the next week, or we didn't know there was going to be food on the table. Several times we didn't know where I would find shoes to fit or clothes to fit. I've been at the same job for 14 years just because I need the stability in my life. I also don't like it when I can prove I'm right about something and I'm not given the opportunity to do so. Nothing upsets me more than knowing I'm right. And my boss argues with me and tells me I'm wrong. And having a woman's brain, I can tell you what color somebody wore 4 weeks ago. So, one of the resources I've used this year and have made incredible strides in is getting Christian counseling through the Women's Life Fellowship program here in Anderson. Women's Life Fellowship is a program that offers free counseling for women, free Christian counseling, and they also do Bible studies for women, which is good for women like me because I teach children in church nursery, so I don't always get the grown-up time, so that's why I appreciate that program. And through the counseling and mentoring program, I've learned to do things differently, but at the same time keep my focus on Jesus and turn to the Bible for my guidance. After reading Why We Don't Listen Better, Communicating and Connecting in Relationships by James Peterson, I would like to apply a lot of the principles learned from this book into practice. This book, I would highly, if I was practicing right now, I would recommend it to all my clients. I think everybody should read this book. In the book, it states that we need to balance our communication, which entails of listening a while, talking to the other person almost stops listening, and then again listen until the other person is calm enough to hear again. In the book, Building Bridges, Not Walls, a book about interpersonal communication, it talks about identity. I have always had a hard time accepting my identity and who I am. And in the past year, I finally accepted the identity that I am a daughter of the King and that I am his princess. And I love this quote from the book. It says, when you look inside, you won't always like what you see. And you'll find that accepting those parts of you takes some serious work. But as you move away from an all or nothing identity and toward a more complex view of who you are, you'll notice it's easier to accept certain parts of yourself that have given you trouble in the past. My action plan is, for the first thing is, I'd like to go back through the book Listening, The Forgotten Skill by Madeline Burley Allen. She gives a quote about change that I just find so motivating. Change can happen at a snail's pace. Often people resist change because they are uncertain as to the results that they will get. New behavior can take some time to be internalized. Once you are aware of how the change process works and have a better understanding of its dynamics, you will be able to approach change more positively. This is very important for my behavioral blend because I don't accept change very well. Another thing is, in an article by Mary Kay Slakowski called Understanding Personality Styles, she lists out a very good action plan with 4 steps. The first one is to capitalize, which I should use my prominent behavior tendency to the maximum extent. The second thing is that I can augment, is that when I don't possess the necessary skills to complete the task, I should seek out someone who does. Number 3 would be I can modify or adapt, which means I can try to learn the behavior that is appropriate, although it may be very time consuming or difficult. But number 4 is the best, which is to blend, and that's to integrate individuals of different behavioral blends so that all may work for the good of the group. Because I'm a conscientious person, I don't like to ask for help, and I fear rejection and criticism. The divorces have left me feeling very rejected and unwanted. So a lot of times I think my friends don't want me around, or I think people are mad at me, and that's not true at all. So in the article by Mary Kay Slakowski entitled Using the DISC Behavior Instrument to Guide Leadership and Communication, and this was in the AORN Journal, she states that conscientious people must learn to accept constructive criticism and express their personal feelings to achieve mutual understanding in difficult circumstances. This year has been a difficult year for me and has been one of learning to ask for help. I broke my foot back in March. Did not know I broke my foot for 2 months. Don't ask how a person can break their foot and not know it for 2 months. But it has consisted of needing help taking garbage or going to the grocery store, and I'm going to have surgery November 7th, and I'm freaking out now asking what am I going to do? And I think this has been the lessons God has saved for me on learning how to ask for help. And I'd like to close my presentation with talking about identity and who I am in Christ with my favorite quote by Dr. Seuss, which is, "Be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind."